Hey guys, Max here, and this is the OnePlus 9 Pro, OnePlus's flagship offering for 2021. I've used an iPhone my whole life. I'm deep in that Apple ecosystem, and this is my first time ever using an Android phone. So here's what I think. Let's start off with the design of this phone, the first thing you see. So this device has a 6.7-inch display, meaning it's a pretty big phone. It comes in the morning mist, pine green, and stellar black color options, with stellar black only available in select regions. I have the morning mist color, and it's a nice color, but a very slippery design. The back is glossy as heck, you bet it's a fingerprint magnet, and the side rails are also glossy, so there isn't any matte on the phone. Not a fan of the lack of matte, but it's a pretty color anyway. The back is glass and the side rails are metal, so it feels like a pretty premium build, as should be expected from any 2021 Android flagship. As a first-time Android user, this also means that my first Android experience has been on OnePlus's OxygenOS skin. I absolutely love this skin. The whole experience is just so snappy and clean. It all is just so meticulously designed, so everything just makes a lot of sense, and it was easy for me to pick up right away. One of the most important things, if not the most important thing on a phone, is the display, where everything happens. And OnePlus knows this, having put on a 6.7-inch AMOLED LTPO 120Hz display. It gets nice and bright with 1300 nits peak brightness. To sum it up, it's crisp, smooth, and vibrant. The 120Hz is especially great to have, and it makes everything just feel super smooth. The part of this phone that you really need to worry least about is the performance, because this phone has Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 888 chip. Alright, so let's just get the specs out there. Snapdragon 888, 8 or 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, 128 or 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage, which I think is a fine storage capacity, so you'll be totally fine even if you just get the 128. Both 8 and 12 gigabytes of RAM will perform great, and you can have plenty of apps open. There is absolutely no slowdown on this phone. It's fast, really snappy, and really smooth experience. Let's talk battery, because with a big, bright, smooth display and the next level performance of the Snapdragon 888, you can expect the battery already has some weight on its shoulders. It's a 4500 mAh cell, pretty high up there when it comes to battery capacity in phones nowadays, and it performs fine. I've gotten about 7 hours with 120Hz on, Quad HD on, and brightness turned all the way up. You can make it through a day on medium usage, but it is possible to kill it. Once you do kill it though, OnePlus includes a 65-watt charger in the box. Yeah, in the box, which in my experience has charged it from 0 to 100% in 26 minutes, which is so fast. There's also 50-watt wireless charging, which can charge it from 0 to 100% in about 43 minutes, which is also really fast and faster than most phones on the market nowadays. So the most advertised part of this device was probably the camera, because OnePlus started a $150 million partnership with Hasselblad, possibly the best known camera brand. The camera setup on this phone consists of 4 lenses, but really only 3 that you'll ever use or care about, because the 4th is a 2-megapixel monochrome sensor. Terrible quality, black and white, and my guess is that OnePlus only put this on the device to call it a 4-camera setup. Anyway, it's a 48-megapixel main sensor, 8-megapixel telephoto sensor, and 50-megapixel ultrawide, plus the useless monochrome sensor. The main sensor outputs some fairly good photos. They're pretty well exposed until you get to the darker parts in the image, where it really goes downhill quick. The blacks are just completely crushed on a lot of photos, but that's become OnePlus's signature contrasty look, which I don't hate. Hasselblad's role in this camera has only been color tuning this year, so it's just dialing in the colors to basically where Hasselblad approves or to get that Hasselblad look. There have been several OxygenOS updates since I got this phone in at the end of March, which have brought it from a pretty okay camera to a pretty impressive camera, which is why you can never really judge a phone the second you get it in. You need to live with it a little bit and actually have experience with the device before you're really able to make a final judgment on whether or not you like it. The photos look fine, but I'd love to see them a little less vibrant because I think they just look a little too saturated and always seem to lean to a magenta hue, and they just always look a little too cool. Telephoto lens, try to use this lens as little as possible. It's quite soft and doesn't have a very nice look to it in my opinion. It is 3.3x, so it has a good range, but this is the lens to use only when you really need it. The ultrawide is great though, really sharp, and distortion is very low because of a distortion minimizing lens that OnePlus put on the camera setup this year. It's a super fun lens and it works a treat. The camera app on this phone really has it all though. Want tilt shift to see the world as if it was miniature? Great, because it has that. Want all the control you would need of exposure, ISO, shutter speed, and everything else? Great, because Pro Mode gives you the flexibility that you need to get the best photos out of this camera that you possibly can. That basically sums it up, but there are a few other things. OnePlus's signature alert slider makes it super easy to switch between silent, vibrate, and ring. It's so good that it has me missing it back on my iPhone. There is reverse wireless charging as well, which makes it super easy to charge up another device you might have, or someone else's Qi wireless charging compatible device. Under display fingerprint reader is really good. There have been some complaints about it being too low. I think it's kind of the perfect place, at least for my hand. So that's a great way to unlock your phone, as well as the facial recognition, which also works fine. And that's the OnePlus 9 Pro. For the whopping $1069 you need to drop on this phone, if you really care that much about the flagship Android experience, then go ahead. I can recommend this phone for that demographic. But the fact of the matter is that that's a minority group of people. Most people just want a phone to do everything that they need it to do. Make phone calls, text family members, and maybe answer some work emails. And that's where this phone is definitely not for you. It's an expensive device, so if you're looking for the latest from OnePlus, I'd say a majority of people should grab a OnePlus 9 instead. I considered getting OnePlus 9, but decided to go the OnePlus 9 Pro route instead, and while it's a great phone, most people will be making a mistake paying this much for what you get and the features that you would use. That's been it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.